Beavemanites and docutrons, assemble!
Okay, so back in the day, I was way above the wave, man. I traded in the girls for the video games. I played so much Super Smash.
Yeah. Did you listen to the last podcast?
A little bit of it.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, it seems like Ricky had a good time.
Yeah, he said he had a really good time. Yeah. I thought he did pretty good on the mic for not doing it with any regularity.
Yeah, I think you were much easier on him than you were me.
Oh yeah.
As far as the questions you asked, they were kind of like ground balls, you know.
What questions do I ask you?
I don't know. You always try and put me on the spot. And then when I give an answer, you argue it in some way to try and twist it into something it's not.
Oh, I see. Well, you are the straight man. That is your thing. that is your role in this journey that we like to call Beaveman in the Dock. This is Beaveman in the Dock, by the way, and I am the Beaveman.
I'm still a doc.
And he's coming to us remotely. Even though I am back in Michigan, he is coming remotely.
Yeah, but it's kind of late, and you know how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you got to do that. A little bit of scheduling issues here and there. I had to work.
Our first late night episode.
Yeah, and actually, it's kind of nice. I can hear the frogs in the background. They're waking up in this version of spring that we have right now, even though it's really freaking cold.
It wasn't too bad during the day, but it's like it keeps wanting to rain, you know, and that doesn't do anybody any favors.
Well, I went for a run. It was like 55 degrees. So that's a little cold this time of year. Where to begin? That's what I often ask myself. How do you just kind of segue into these podcasts? Do you ever wonder that question?
I don't know. I thought we did pretty good in the past.
Yeah, I just always wonder. I want it to be you try to make it this organic conversation, but then sometimes you're just like, okay, well now we're starting and we're gonna do this.
Yeah, well, you've got the topic. The topic makes a big difference, I think.
Yeah, but then again, I almost don't want to say, well, we're talking about this today. So I thought it would be fun to talk about hopes, dreams, the evolution of hopes and dreams as time goes
Poems,
by.
prayers, and promises.
And the what do you call it? The hopes and dreams, and then the realization of the dashing of your hopes and dreams, or life gets in the way, or what would you say?
I think more often than not, it's one of those cases where you have to change your hopes and dreams. They evolve over time.
They evolve over the time, or you get a reality check.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of brings your expectations into a reasonable view.
So you know what I had to do the other day? I had to go. Generally, I on like Wednesdays and Saturdays, I usually do jiu-jitsu. I've done that for years. And of course, since I was gone for 3 months, I didn't get to do that. So when I got back, I was really excited because I was like, oh, I get to do jiu-jitsu. Now, caveat to that, just because I'm a black belt doesn't mean that I can kick someone's ass. Being a black belt means that you're a good listener. So as a secondary black belt, I'm twice as good of a listener. But
I don't know. From what I've seen, the things you can do, I think you'd hold your own just fine.
Well, I'm sure I could, but I'm not sure that would be some beautiful techniques that I'm using. I'm sure it'd be very sloppy, but I did not get to go to class because my daughter had tryouts for a play. And as I was sitting there watching yet another child go up and do a tryout, and let me tell you, it was a lot of fun. I started to think about the past a little bit and how crazy it is when you look at how seriously people take things like play tryouts. For example, I took them rather seriously, and for some reason, I thought that there was a possibility that someday I could be an actor. Ridiculous as that sounds. Now, when I look back at it.
I've tried a couple of auditions because in the past, I've done my fair share of singing, and um, I like to think I did pretty well with it. But
You probably didn't.
like, no, no, actually,
you probably didn't. You're probably horrible.
last time when we went to Disney, I took my family there, and they had the American Idol thing, and I I got on. The thing is the choices of songs that they had to offer once you got past the first round. Like when you first walk through the door, you can sing whatever you want,
What'd you
but
sing?
after that, um, crap.
London Bridges? The ABCs.
No, it was
Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
no, it was a little better than that.
I have a little teapot. No.
Getting closer, but still no.
No?
uh, I,
Bad to the
I
bone.
think it was something by Little River Band.
I can't even name a song by the Little River Band.
Really? Do you even know who they are?
I've heard of them.
Cool Change.
Go ahead.
Pretty sure it was Cool Change.
All right, say it. Go ahead.
No, I don't feel
No,
like
say
it.
it. Come on. Don't be a douche.
No, I don't.
No, don't. Okay. So this is why you'll never be a singer. This is why you suck. See, this is why you'll never be a singer. See?
Because I don't perform
Because
on
you
command.
won't just, yeah, exactly. And that was my point. Actually, that was
I did.
part of my point.
I did Crazy Little Thing Called Love, too.
Okay, go ahead.
No.
Okay. All right then. Well, that was kind of my point before we went to this edition, right? So the daughter said that it was for the Wizard of Oz. So the daughter was like, "Yeah, I want to be Dorothy." I'm like, "Okay, good luck. Every little no hack, every non-talented whatever is going to get up there and try to be Dorothy." I'm like, "So sing." I'm like, "Go ahead, sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Go ahead, sing it." She's like, "No." I'm like, "What do you mean? You want to be in the play? You want to be an actress? Who do you think you're going to sing in front of? If you can sing in front of your family, if you can just belt it out, then you're going to have a good audition."
Oh, I have in the past. I used to do karaoke all the time.
Oh, go ahead, sing.
I've walked on the
Go ahead.
stage a couple of times and sang along with the live band on more than one occasion. And that turned
Okay.
out pretty well.
Like what? Who was the live band? Where was the venue?
It was a bar over in Union City.
And what'd you sing? Something My Grand Funk Railroad.
No, it was country, like Garth Brooks something or other. I can't remember.
How convenient that you don't remember.
25 years ago.
Oh, okay. So, so anyway, so she wouldn't belt it out. Needless to say, she got up and did her Somewhere Over the Rainbow a cappella, and you could tell she was very nervous. So she didn't belt out. What are you doing that's making so much noise? It sounds like you're wrestling with your microphone. Are you?
No, I was.
Are you rubbing? Are you touching yourself right now?
No.
I mean, it's late at night.
It could be my beard is
are
rubbing
you just
against
sitting
the
there?
microphone as I talk.
Are you? I mean, are you in boxer shorts and like not wearing a shirt right now? Is that what you're doing?
No, I'm wearing jeans and a t-shirt.
Well, why is it so noisy? It sounds like a lot of rubbing going on over there, like rubbing and tugging. Is that what? I mean, that's what it sounds like. I'm just telling you, that's what it sounds like. To our listeners,
whatever makes you happy, man.
If you listen to Beaveman in the Dock and it puts you in the mood, I guess good. I guess I'm flattered. I don't really know why it would make you feel that way, but if it does, then more power to you. If it back me up though, it sounds like Doc is doing something he shouldn't be doing while we're doing the podcast. Now, on that same grounds though, Doc, are you able to get an erection at your advanced age?
Sure.
I mean, intentionally. Are you able to intentionally get an erection?
Yeah, no problem.
No problem, you say. Okay. Now, are you able
Not anymore. I was taking this blood pressure medication, which was making things a little difficult. But since I switched, life is good again.
Oh, life is good again. Okay. Well, that's good to hear. Now, are you able to maintain the erection when you get one?
No problem.
So you're able to maintain
sometimes
it
multiple times.
So you can achieve one, you can obtain it, you can sustain it.
You bet.
To fruition.
Oh yeah.
Well, good for you, old fella.
Like I said,
pretty good.
Multiple times.
All right. Well, that's impressive. I guess at your advanced age and physicality. What are you doing that is making so much noise?
I'm not doing anything.
So just the act of you breathing is making all that noise, that rubbing noise. Stop moving. I can tell you're moving.
That's me moving my jaw.
That's you. The actual action of you moving your jaw is making that much noise.
Yeah,
Well, if it's
yeah.
that much
I think
activity,
it's
then
my beard is.
if it's that much activity, then I hope hopefully you're burning some calories, because it seems like you're doing a lot of movement there. Anyway, back to the whole thing. There was a point in time when I actually thought that I would pursue the arts. And it actually surprises me that I am doing the profession that I'm currently doing, because it has so little to do with what I thought I would do when I grew up. It's quite sad, actually, if you think about it.
Um, I used to want to be a singer, and then I
Then
just.
you heard yourself and you're like, that shit ain't working out.
Well, I've always been my own biggest critic.
I think you should
You know,
be. If you're
I
not,
I, I know when I'm doing something wrong, and I when I listen to that and somebody says I wasn't, or that I was doing great, I know better that they're just being nice. So I'm not like trying to fool myself on anything.
right. Well, I think that if you're not your biggest critic, then you're probably very full of yourself.
Now, acting, on the other hand, that, that I think I that I think I could do.
Now, what would be your typecast character, do you think? Do you think you would get typecast then? I mean, I can think
Boy,
what character would you be able to portray now? And I don't watch network
I'd be the
television.
bad guy.
You'd be the
I would
bad
make
guy?
I would make an excellent bad guy. Yeah.
I don't know, man. You're a little I don't know. You're not the bad guy type unless I don't know. Maybe. I'm trying to, like I said, I don't watch network television right now, so I don't even have anybody that I could actually compare you to. I'd have to think about like the movies. Who would I compare you to in the movies? I don't know. I really can't think of anybody.
I always have a hard time like trying to classify myself, like my personality and things like that, especially like when we were going through like psychology class. They'd be talking about one thing or another, and I would try and figure out, okay, how does this apply to me? And it was always like one or two bits of most of the different theories. I look back growing up and I say, yeah, I remember that and that and that, but nothing fit me completely. So I guess
Kind of
that's
like your
probably
pants?
what actually. Yeah, they're getting a little tight, even though I'm losing weight.
Uh, do you wear your pants over your belly button?
No,
No.
no, they won't reach.
That's good that you don't do that anyway. It's like, how high can someone's pants really get? I mean,
It's
what
like
are you
Urkel.
hiding? Yeah, I'm like, what are you actually hiding? We know that there's some sort of a large abdomen there. So anyway, back to I pictured myself as well as some sort of an actor. I thought that I would be the perfect bad guy also. See, I never planned on. I always thought that would be my role. I never had any aspirations of playing the good guy. I always assumed I would be a very good villain in any type of movie or television show.
Maybe villain. Maybe I wouldn't be a good villain as much as I would be the anti-hero. I'm not necessarily a nice guy, but in the end, I do the right thing.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I go about I would go about accomplishing it in ways that most people wouldn't approve of. Well, that's not nice. Yeah, but they're not nice, so it's okay. You know?
Do you imagine though now if you had to do some sort of an action chase scene?
Oh God, I'd be dead before I
you're like
should climb
you're
the
like
first
3 feet in.
fence.
You're like, hey, slow down, buddy. Get back here. If you
You've
could,
got the cops running after you.
you're
Say,
like,
hold on, time out.
you're like, if you could just slow down just a moment. Slow down and or just not even run. Like, I'm just gonna hop in my car and hit this person with a door as I drive by. That might work out okay for you. But no, like I said, that I had aspiration. You know that originally my plan was to go to college and get a literature and writing degree and minor in philosophy or vice versa. That was my original plan.
Philosophy, huh?
Yeah, that was my plan because I thought it would be silly to get an acting degree.
Uh oh.
Yeah.
My wife just came in the room. She's taking her clothes off.
Well, as we go back to hopefully that you are still able to make, you have already admitted that you are able to obtain, sustain an erection, which is, like we said, it's very impressive. I had assumed that you could not do that. Look, so anyway, lit and writing and philosophy. That was my plan. This was my plan before. My plan was to go into the army for a few years, come out, and have enough money to get my literature and philosophy degree. What I was planning on doing with that, I have no idea, because you can't exactly. What does one do with that, especially as a bachelor's degree? What the hell would I do with it with a bachelor's degree? Not much.
There's not a whole lot you can do with a bachelor's degree anymore.
Well, definitely not in that field either. I mean, what was I really thinking? My other plan was to somehow get discovered in this small town, in this small area of Michigan that we live in. Was to somehow get discovered and do theater. That was my plan. Try to do bad guy theater. For example, I knew that I could not be a leading man with this egg-shaped head of mine, but a bad guy.
Why? Adam Sandler did it.
Yeah, but he's not. Yeah, he's a leading man, I guess you could say, but he's not leading man material by any means. He's not a good-looking fella. You know, he started off in comedy at a very young age. He was doing comedy very, very young. And so he made all the right connections. Apparently, did you know that he actually got, I guess, is that true that he got fired from Saturday Night Live?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything about it.
Like him and Chris Farley got fired from Saturday Night Live? They didn't actually just leave, apparently. I had heard that.
Chris Farley died. Of course, he had made a couple of movies and he was making enough money and he was in and out of rehab. I think they were having trouble with Chris Farley early on because he was missing too much work, basically. And I know Adam Sandler was real close with him, so maybe he was trying to help support him on the side and missed some work too.
Who
It's
knows?
the only thing I can think of.
I don't know. I would one of those things you probably have to look up. I heard that. I don't remember what podcast I heard that on, that they were actually fired from Saturday Night Live. They didn't just leave. It's probably true. I don't know. But you know, Adam, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry. You're not leading man material in my mind. You're funny.
I don't know. He picks good movies.
Some of them are all right. A lot of them are pretty much the same characters. He's kind of typecasted himself, I guess you could say. But he produces, I'm assuming, a lot of his movies, so that's kind of how they get made in the first place.
I thought
But
50
hey,
First Dates was awesome.
50 First Dates is awesome. That is one of my favorite movies, actually. That and The Wedding Singer. Both of those are two of my favorite movies. I like to watch
I don't
those.
think I've seen The Wedding Singer yet.
You haven't seen The Wedding Singer? Oh, it's a great movie.
I don't think so.
Great movie, great 80s references, 80s, 90s references. Very good movie.
I've seen Happy Gilmore. I've seen Mr. Deeds. Mr. Deeds was pretty funny.
Yeah, it was all right. I would say
And
starting to lose me on some of them as time went by, of course. Like I said, it was starting to seem like the same movie over and over again.
Well, he made he had kind of a guest appearance or a cameo, I guess you could say, on Grandma's Boy, which had all the same actors that he often works with. It's just different lead, That was good show. Pretty funny.
I kind of do like that about Adam Sandler, that he has a lot of the same actors in his movies. That I kind of like that. That's, to me, that shows that, well, either you don't have a big pool of people to pick from, or you're loyal to actors that you're used to working with.
When you enjoy your work and you enjoy the people you work with, I imagine that sort of thing is going to happen quite a bit.
I would hope.
I mean, you've seen other movies where actors frequently appear together.
Yeah, but I don't think to really the extent that Adam Sandler does it. I think he's very consistent, which is nice. I mean, you kind of get
exclusive.
You kind of get used to seeing that, and you're like, oh yeah, this is the character that they played in the last one, or a different character, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, we got off the subject about that because I was talking about egg-shaped heads, and you brought up Adam Sandler. But I also have the egg-shaped head. Do you have any personal regrets or reality checks that you've noticed as time went by, other than thinking that you were going to be a singer?
I wish I would have gone to school a lot sooner. If I had gone to school and took it seriously when I was younger, boy, the things I could accomplish. I could have a doctorate by now. I could be a doctor in many different possible subjects.
But do you think you would have picked the same? I mean, what would you have picked to do if you'd have gone to school sooner.
Well, knowing now, if I knew then, I wouldn't stop at nursing school. I'd probably try and get a doctorate, be an actual doctor.
What would stop you from doing that now?
Just too damn old.
You're too damn old. I've known people who were older than you who became MDs.
Yeah, but by the amount of money that I'd have to spend, the time it would take to pay back, hell, I'd probably die before I got it paid off.
Well, you'd make a lot more money than you'd make twice of what I make a year easily. So that's why they pay it off relatively quickly without being, what is it, Machiavelli? In that case, I guess you could say that the end would justify the means.
Machiavellian.
Yeah. Well, I've been looking back at my life, and I'm very shocked actually that I'm as old as I am. It seems like the past 20 years went by very rapidly.
They did, but they were a good 20 years.
Well, I mean, certain aspects of it were good. I would say my professional career hasn't been good. I haven't been happy with that since I stopped being a nurse, but that's my own fault. But I was looking back at my different career choices that if I could do it all again, what I would actually probably do instead. The reason why I went to school in the first place for the healthcare field was because when my plan was this. My plan was when I got out of the Army, because obviously I wasn't planning on getting a philosophy and literature and writing degree anymore. That I matured so much while I was in the Army that I realized there was no way in hell I was ever going to become an actor. When you're young, you have these grand theories about that you're special, and I don't know why I had that theory because I was treated like such shit. But I still had that grand theory that, maybe I had talent, and I really didn't. I did not have any talent. But I really wanted to be a U.S. Marshal. That was my plan. So
Yeah, I used to want to be a cop.
So when I got
When
out
I
of
was
the
in high
Army,
school.
I wanted to test for the U.S. Marshal Service. But at that time, the U.S. Marshal Service testing was closed. So I couldn't test for it. So I was waiting for it to reopen so I could test for it. Unbeknownst to me, and I don't know if it's true or not, the actual testing for U.S. Marshals was open to military veterans for like a 6-month window after you got out of service, even if the testing wasn't open to the general public. I didn't know that, if that's actually true. So I missed my window. So while I was assuming I was going to get to do that someday, my plan was I'm going to go to school and get a medical degree because that will make me marketable for the U.S. Marshal Service. That was my plan. Because I either wanted to be a U.S. Marshal or I wanted to be a DNR officer. But then I found out that they don't make very much money. And I didn't think I could support a family, even though that would have been a great job. And even now I'm like, that would have been a great job. I could probably have done 20 years and retired, and then done something else. And that would have been totally worthwhile. But I'm living with this regret.
Well, I've always told my kids that before they went to school, follow the money, and obviously they didn't take my suggestion very seriously because one went to school to be a teacher and school teacher, and the other one went to school for psychology, which has broad application, but generally only in social work and things like that. Sorry about my grandfather clock in the back room.
Tell that grandfather clock to shut the fuck
background.
up.
Hey, shut the fuck up. There.
So your advice was follow the money.
Follow the money.
Follow the money.
In other words, don't spend a whole lot of money on school, leaving yourself with a whole bunch of debt and then a job that doesn't pay enough to pay it off.
Well, I mean, I guess that's good advice. My advice to my children so far is, and maybe this is why I'm bringing up this topic, is that my son has always, ever since he was a little boy, he's always wanted to work in the industry, in the movie industry. Not so much TV.
Right.
He's always been movies. He's always been fascinated by that. Or Marvel being his favorite. He's always loved Marvel. His goal was, when he was even very little, he wanted to work at Marvel Studios. That was his thing. And I've always told him, as the years have gone by, and of course as he got older and older, I've always told him, like, well, follow your dream. If that's what you want to do, don't go to, if you want to go to college, for one, don't get a degree in film or anything like that. That's a waste of time. It's just a complete waste of time. If you're going to get a degree in something that you can work at while you're trying to get into the industry. For example, I said, if you want to. I'm like, get a degree in English. If you want a 4-year degree, get a degree in something like English, and then you can substitute teacher while you're trying to break into that field if need be.
Or you major in English and minor in film,
Something anywhere where you
because
could
you can do
anything.
that sort of thing.
Oh, sure. Anything where you could do where it feels like you would be somewhat marketable to do something like substitute teaching, because you can make a pretty good living at that while you're hoping to get into something else. The bottom line was I didn't want him to spend a lot of money getting a degree that was unnecessary. It's kind of like if you want to be on the radio, there's really no point in going and getting a broadcasting degree. If you want to be on the radio, get on the radio. You don't
But if you want to
need.
be the guy managing all the equipment and everything like that,
But yeah, then when you're looking
yeah,
at radio engineering, that's
yeah,
is a different thing. But if you want to learn how to broadcast, it doesn't matter what education you go get. Either you're going to be good on the radio or you're not going to be good on the radio.
it's a personality thing, really.
Exactly. So it's about getting everything to click. But I just didn't feel like it was necessary. So now here he is. Has an associate's degree, has a pretty good job, and he just got into the Georgia Film Academy. So he's going to be off to do that in August. Right. So it's a practical course. In other words, he's going to learn about, working on set and all these different things. And that's going to help him transition. Whereas opposed to if he went somewhere to some expensive film school, he may never work in film. Like, my little brother insisted on, he got his 2-year associate's degree so he could transfer to Grand Valley State University for their film, whatever program it is. I imagine that was not inexpensive to finish out that degree. And, he works for like Fox News or whatever and hates his job, just does like promos and trying to, for some reason, thinks that he's going to break into the film industry in Michigan. I don't have to worry about it. Not insulting his choices. I'm just saying this is probably not the place to think that you're going to make it.
Right.
And does he live with regret? I would hope not. I mean, I hope that he really does realize that he has sort of made it. I mean, he's in the industry. Maybe he's not doing what he wants to do 100%. Unfortunately, that's kind of what life is like. There's all these different compromises and you grow and you're like, like you said, do your dreams change, or do you think
there's a big difference between doing the job and getting paid for it to make a living doing the job? Because, otherwise, hell, I'd be a porn star.
Crickets, bitches. So that's your answer, eh? Like, otherwise, I'd be a porn star.
Yeah, I mean, if it's just you can't just do the work. You have to do it. You have to have something that people want to see, that people want.
So now
It's
you
the way
think
the
you
entertainment business costs or plays out.
So you think you have something that somebody wants to see? I mean, there's freaks
No,
out there.
I'm just
I mean, there are
I'm
freaks
just
out
saying,
there. I mean, there's freaks out there that have no
if
taste. I mean,
anybody can take a camera and film themselves doing something, and hey, look, I'm in porn. I'm a porn star. But if they're not like making any money doing that, what's the point other than just sheer exhibitionism?
I guess. Well, I mean, but there's
So,
goals that people have. Like if you want to check a block, if there's something that you really want to do, regardless of whether you make money or not, to me that's important. For example, okay, so back to the whole black belt thing. I always wanted to be a black belt. That was one of my goals in life, and I assumed that would never happen because by the time I was, I don't know, 30 some years old, I'd taken martial arts sporadically here and there, but life always seemed to get in the way. And then later on in life as an adult, so what I started actually doing it seriously at the age of like 38. So for me that was, and now it's not a matter of the fact that I obtain it. It's a matter of knowing that I don't know diddly shit about martial arts despite all these years of doing it, realizing that getting my black belt only meant that I was a good student and that I listened. And the realization that no matter how hard I try, I'm only going to get better in very small increments. I'm never going to be some awesome whatever perception that people have of what a second degree black belt is. It just means I
But
listen well.
if you were able to go back in time to when you were younger and and maybe not knowing everything you know now, but to be able to focus your attention on achieving that, you could be so much better than what you are now.
Maybe. I don't
it,
know.
it's it's a matter, most things are a matter of dedication. A little bit of talent, but mostly dedication.
Yeah, I don't know that I would actually be better, that much better than I am now, other than the fact that I would have evolved over time. Not necessarily because of the amount of time I would have spent on anything, but because I evolved through life experience. So that's why in regards to am I any better than I would have been if I would have started 10 years before? Yeah, I'm not really sure that I would have been, because there's only so much I would be able to achieve anyway. Just because of who I am, how I am. I don't know that it would have made a difference if I'd have started 10 years earlier. Maybe. Of course, you can't go back in time, so I don't know anyway. But I like to think that I have these very what would you say? I guess mediocre aspirations on my own, on my
Yeah.
part, because I've realized over time that I'm not something special. I'm not some genius. I mean, I knew that. I knew that early on that I was not a genius. But there's obtainable things that I could have done that I haven't done that I could still do.
Well, I don't know.
That was profound.
Yeah,
You're like, I don't
it's a
know. I
difficult subject
don't know.
to look back and question. It's like, if I could do things different, what would I change? And there are pros and cons to everything, because growing up, I had a good time. I enjoyed myself. If I had taken high school seriously, I would not have had all the fun that I had in high school. And I had a lot of fun in high school.
Well, so there you don't really have any regret then, in that regard. If you had a good time, you don't have any regret, I would say.
Yeah, but if I had taken it seriously, the pro would be that yes, I wouldn't have had as much fun in high school, but I would have a lot more money and opportunity now that I don't. So now I find myself going back to school, staying focused, doing my homework and all that other stuff. And it's like I'm trying to make up for what I didn't do before. So, you can do it now or do it later.
Right. Well, but I
So,
mean, I guess my point is that at this point in time in our life, when we're looking at another, conservatively speaking, we're looking at a good another 20 years of working. That's if we have any hopes whatsoever of retiring. I don't have any hope of retiring. I assume I'm going to die at work, because that's just how it is.
I always wanted to do a job that I wouldn't have to retire from.
That
And
would be
just do it
great,
till
but
I
I
die.
don't. That would be great, but I don't think that's going to happen. So unless I spontaneously all of a sudden get 50,000 followers and I'll be able to do multiple podcast shows over various topics with various themes, I don't think I'm going to get to do what I want to do and die doing it and be okay with working all the time. Because just what I'm doing itself is become, not that it's become monotonous and not that I think that I'm some expert at it, but it's 90% of what I see and do is routine, even though it's a different, I'm seeing different people, but it's routine. In other words, nothing is really throwing me. It's not like I look at stuff and even once a day and go, I wonder what that is. That
Well,
doesn't,
you shouldn't sell yourself short, because with all the schooling you've had and the experience you've got, if you're not an expert, nobody is.
well, that's nice of you to say, but the truth is, I don't think many of us are. One of my favorite podcasts is WTF, which obviously stands for "What the fuck" with Mark Maron, and I like to
He swore.
laugh. I like to laugh about his podcast because a lot of times he'll talk about going to the doctor and or being a hypochondriac and saying things like, "Oh God, I had this pain. What does that mean?" And his doctor's like, "Fuck, I don't know." And then he's like, "What do you mean you don't know?" Which I always think is funny. Like, why do you think that we know what your random pain is that doesn't fit any particular schema whatsoever or diagnosis? Do you not think that we have random little blips of stuff here and there that mean absolutely nothing? Do you think that we know every single function or problem or misfiring that happens in the human body? Do you think that we know that?
Yeah, some doctors, when I complain about things like that, they just say, "Well, you're getting older. It's going to happen from time to time.
Because there's
Wait
so
till it
much that
becomes
we
more persistent, and if it becomes persistent and more of a problem, then we'll focus on it then. But for now, just write it down and move on."
well, that's the thing is a lot of stuff is we're like, did that happen? What were you doing when that happened? Well, nothing. How long did it last? I don't know, like a second. I'm like, and you expect me to be able to tell you exactly what that was? Well, do you have it now? No. Has it happened more than once? No. Did it happen for a long period of time? No. All these different things. And I'm like, okay, why are you worried about that? Why are you worried
Then it's
about
probably
something?
in your head. Have a nice day.
Well, it's not that it's in your head. It's not that it's in your head. It's one of the doctors I used to work with. He had this phrase, and it's a phrase that I still use that I love to use because it's true. They would ask some random crazy question like that, and I'm like racking my brain, going, "What the fuck is that? I don't know what that is. What is that? That doesn't make any. That's just a random thing." And he would say, "It's a common phenomenon because it is." We don't, not only is it not necessary for us to know every little random thing that might happen to you that lasted a 16th of a second, but it doesn't fit in into any pathology that's going to kill you, harm you, or indicate some sort of chronic medical condition that you have. But when they sit there and go, well, you don't know what's wrong with me other than the fact that you're human? No, because because it's not anything. Why are you going to spend so much time of your life worrying about something that is nothing? And then wondering why we don't have an answer for you. Well, we don't have an answer for
No,
you
it's because
because
people
it's
don't know what they don't know.
yeah, well, we don't have an
A
answer for
little
you
bit of
because it's nothing.
education goes a long ways.
Well, and that goes back to me saying again how they should be teaching all these things and from a very young age, but they don't. But no, that's a little bit of my regret on these sort of things. Looking back, wondering, but I look at other things too and say, well, there's still some stuff achievable that I could do. Obviously, some of the stuff that I have some regrets from being in the military. I won't go into those too much in detail because I would like to do a podcast sometime about not survivor guilt because I don't have survivor guilt. I have a different type of guilt, which is the there's got to be a name for it, but it's the guilt of not having have gone to combat, which I'd like to get some other people that had that same type of mentality and talk with
I
them
have a
about it.
couple of regrets from when I was in the military.
Was it that you didn't get to spend as much time in the barrel as you wanted to?
No,
No,
see,
so you
there
got to
was
spend
this.
plenty of time in the barrel.
There was. See what you were talking, or see what I was talking about when I was talking about questions being twisted.
That's not a
All right
twisted
then.
question. How's that a twisted
No,
question?
there was this. I went out on a date with this girl,
Does every regret that
and
you
she brought
have
a couple of her,
always have to do with women?
mostly. Yeah, no, I went on a date with this girl, and we were out on the beach, and I had too much beer, and I
You threw up in her hair.
I I damn near, it was close, but either way, throwing up put an end to that whole endeavor.
Well, I mean, if she'd have just spent more time with you, the endeavor would have been over anyway. It wouldn't have had anything to do with throwing up.
Yeah, well, I empty stomach, too much beer, didn't go well.
Didn't go well. That's one of your right. Well, I'm talking about life lessons here. You're like, well, there's this time that I almost threw up and I blew it with this
And
chick.
and then right before, in my last days in in Virginia, there was another girl who was practically throwing herself at me, and I turned her down,
And
and she
that's
was
also
cute.
a regret.
Yeah, I wish I hadn't.
Oh my goodness. So your regrets. So I'm talking about I would say the evolution of me, and you're talking about your dick. basically.
Well, that's part of me.
you're like, that's the only part of me that I really care about.
I'm not a priest.
Well, I didn't say you were. How many times did you wonder if the priests were checking you out?
Never.
You never wondered about that.
No.
Now, when we were in, there were rumors about where there were priests when we were growing up. Not like our priests, but in general.
Dude, I grew up in a Catholic school. If there was something going on, I would have heard about it.
Oh, I don't think that's accurate.
Well, there was a suspicious situation, but it wasn't a priest. It was a teacher at the school, and he disappeared rather under mysterious circumstances. And one of the girls at the school also disappeared. And I tried talking to her once. We used to play together. We were neighbors when we were little, and she barely spoke to me. I mean, she was pretty traumatized. So I think the two situations were related.
Hmm. That's unfortunate.
But other than that, I really don't know anything about it.
So let me ask you this. I read this article that was basically talking about how we have so much access to information that if we really wanted to find something out, we could find something out. But is it a good idea that we actually find things out? For example, this guy was having writer's block, and this was a good article in Wired magazine. And he was talking about how when he has writer's block, sometimes he does like Google searches. So he got on Google and he searched a buddy of his from when he was a kid, but he couldn't find him. And then every once in a while, when he was searching, an article popped up about how someone with the same name was murdered. And he's like, well, it can't be him. But it ended up that it actually, it was him. He had a very unique middle name. And so he talks about, is it good that we travel down these roads? In other words, is it better to leave things, let them lie in our minds? Is that a better option? Because we have such availability of this information that we could get. What do you think about that? Like, if would it like if you decided that you wanted to like pursue this action and reach out to this person and find out if that's really what happened, would that benefit you in any way?
Well, I don't know. I guess it would depend. For the most part, I would rather know. I'd rather know the truth if I were curious about something. But like you said, the internet's a big place, and there's a lot of information out there, and not all of that information is going to be true. The question is how do you tell the difference from the true from the false? And in many cases, that can be very difficult, if not impossible. So, kiddies, don't believe what you read on the internet because it's not all right.
Well, there's so much out there that it's more accurate that there's a lot that's not accurate because it's an absolute flooding of information. Well, I know for one, I don't know how this happened actually. Speaking of things that you don't necessarily want to find out, somehow or other I had seen something about one of the guys I went to high school with, nice guy. And then I'd seen something else about how he had a website. And I'm like, what is this website about? So you go on the website and it's a website dedicated to him. He didn't make it, but he disappeared in the UP, never to be
Hmm.
seen again. Because lots of people disappear in the UP, and he liked to go nature hiking in the middle of the night, and that was his thing. And he even had like little lean-to structures out there. If he decided he was going to sleep out there or whatever, and yeah, he disappeared. It's really sad. I'm like,
They
I could have gone my whole life without knowing that.
There are bears out there.
Well, there's wolves out there. There's all kinds of good stuff out there. Who knows what happened to him? Maybe he just fell asleep and it was in some remote location and nobody will ever find him. People would disappear up in the UP frequently. People disappear
Or
in
maybe he
rural
just
areas.
decided he liked it there and decided to stay and never come back. And
I like to
he
think
lived happily ever after.
that's what I like. I know foolishly that's what I like to think in my head, but apparently he was very close to his family and that didn't enter their thought process.
They didn't think it likely.
No. I mean, I like to think that's what happened. I like to think that he just decided he was going to live off the grid the rest of his life. but I'm sure that's not what happened.
Maybe he was abducted by aliens.
Maybe, maybe that's possible also. But the other thing that similarly happened to me a few years ago. A few years ago, I was coming back from somewhere. I don't remember. I think I was at a conference. So I'm coming back from a conference, and I'm sitting in the airport, and I'm looking up old army buddies. I'm like, okay, well, kind of like this guy, he's like Google searching. Well, he had writer's block. Well, I had nothing to do, so I'm like, yeah, let me look up my old army buddy. Look up my old army buddy. Find out he was killed in Afghanistan
Hmm.
in like 2010. Here I was, um, this I think was 2017 or so. So here I am, like 7 years later, looking it up, and I find out that he was killed in Afghanistan, which is
Well,
horrible.
I tried to look up some of the friends that I hung out with when I was in the Navy. One of them was his name was Giovanni Santiago, and on the subject of acting, that was something that he was always interested in, and he is quite possibly one of the funniest people I've ever met. And because the stories he would tell and the way he would tell them would just he could take something simple and stupid and make you laugh about it. And he was telling me stories about the time he auditioned for the Cosby Show when it very first came out, but obviously he didn't get picked.
Now I don't remember any
And
Italian guy on the Cosby Show that was named Giovanni. No, that's true.
yeah, I don't know what happened to him. And then there are other people.
Kind of like the point of that story.
Another guy named everybody just called him Demon. I don't know what happened to him. In fact, I don't even know his real name. Much like me and most of the people that I hung out with in high school, they always thought, you know, we get in some trouble with something. Well, who is that guy? I don't know, Doc.
Right.
They didn't even know my real name.
Do you think there's friends of ours that don't know your real name?
Not the close ones, obviously, but yeah, I could list off a couple of people that we were hanging out with.
Now, how many years do you think it had been since somebody actually called you Doc? How many do you think there was like a long period of time where nobody called you that?
Yeah, my time in the Navy, and then it started back up again after that for a few years. It comes and goes depending on who I'm around and who I meet.
Well, it's kind of like I had that conversation with Ricky. I don't call him Ricky to his face. I call him Rick. But when I talk about him, I call him Ricky.
I think everybody does that
But he
with
said
him.
he said people from Bellevue still call him Ricky at times. I'm like, you're freaking I'm like, you're 40 some years old.
Full grown
You're
man.
a full grown man who's calling you Ricky. But in my head, in my head, that's how I picture him, and that's what I call him. But to him, I don't say, "Hey, Ricky," whatever.
First time I met him, he was having a band practice over at Lonnie's house, and they were practicing "Sweet Child of Mine." I remember that. He had hair then.
Right? Well, over time that happens. People lose their hair. He had a lot of hair. He had long flowing hair at one point in time.
Yeah.
But that happens. People lose their hair. Sort of thing. So, any other regret that you have on any other woman that you didn't nail that you're all upset about? Oh, the list, it just goes on and on
Okay.
for all
There
these
was
regrets of.
again when I was in the Navy. There was this one girl that I met her out on the beach. It was late March, and we had buried a keg in the sand, and she had come over, and I offered her a drink, and we got to talking. It turns out that there was a guy that was kind of stalking her, so she asked me if I'd pretend to be her boyfriend and
So
try
she
and
she wanted to pick
discourage
the,
him.
she wanted to pick the buffest, palest dude that she could find.
I wasn't so pale; I was lobster red after that day.
Did you have a mustache when you were in the Navy?
I think I did
I
for
always
some of it.
picture you with a mustache in the Navy. I'm typecasting, but that's how I always picture you.
Yeah, honestly, I think I did.
Oh God. Oh God.
Not the whole time, but it comes and goes.
You're gonna have to
Couldn't
find a
couldn't
picture.
We weren't allowed to grow beards
Well, of course not.
because of the
No.
personal protective gear that wouldn't get a proper seal.
Right.
But anyway, so I went ahead and started, trying to help her out,
And how
And
was that? How were you trying to help her out?
my friends were hanging out with her friends. Everything was going well. And after that, we went to like a Long John Silver's type place. I can't remember what it's called, but and this dude follows everybody there, and he just wouldn't give up. And so finally, at the end of the day, um, she said, "Well, you're going to have to come home with me." Well, I never did, but I did get her number, and we went out a few times after that. And in fact, there was the one time when uh, when I went over to her house. She was having a party, and there was another friend of hers, which I think was just madly in love with the girl. And then I think she was using me to try and make this other dude jealous, but she was laying out all these hints like she wanted me to make a move. And so finally when I did, we went into the other room and everything was going nicely, and then suddenly somebody starts banging on the door saying that some girl went running out into, the dangerous part of town. And I think that the it's confusing because, okay, the girl that I was trying to hook up with, I think, was in love with this guy who must have shown some form of jealousy because he was engaged to the girl that ran out into the street. And the other guy, he wanted to be a Marine, which doesn't say much, but he wanted to be a Marine. Um, he's the one that was also wanted to be with her, and so
This
it
story is
just,
so confusing.
yeah, yeah.
So what you're
M-
saying is
I didn't make my
you
move soon
didn't
enough, and
make
I
your move
missed my
soon enough.
chance.
It doesn't sound like she wanted you to make a move, quite honestly.
Um, yeah, I think she did.
No,
I think if I had made it, I think if I had made it sooner, she would have been.
I think she had a penis. That's what I
No,
think. That's what
no, I
happened.
checked.
I
She
think
did
that
not.
she had a penis. Well, maybe it was tucked. It could have been
No,
tucked. You don't know. It's
no.
possible. So somehow in there though, you did manage as a Navy person to insult the Marines. Um, for our Marine listeners, if you are listening, just remember that the Beaveman, though you are not cool enough to be a soldier, you are cooler than the Navy and the Air Force. So
Oh,
remember, the Beaveman is on your side in that respect, and Doc is not. He just
Doc
insulted.
is on Doc's side.
Doc is on the Doc side, which is the Navy side, which is, as we've
Welcome,
all
welcome to the
said,
Doc side.
as we've all established, is the, I guess you would say, the barrel dweller.
Come
The
to the
barrel,
Doc
the
side.
barrel
We
dweller
have
side.
cookies. We
Cookies,
have cake.
you have cookies, you have erect penile tissue, without the use of medication, apparently. So again, Doc's regrets are all Doc's regret are all directly related to the amount of pussy that he got. That's pretty sad, Doc. I'm
Well,
sitting here worried that I'm like, yeah, I never had a six pack. I didn't
no,
become a
I
U.S.
had one of those.
Marshal. I didn't become a U.S. Marshal. I didn't go to college for lit and writing. I'm not a great guitar player. I've never done a stand up comedy routine. And I've
On a
never
couple of
finished
occasions,
any
I
of
had
the
a
books.
24 pack.
I've never finished any of the books that I've started to write. So these are my regrets. Yeah, for some reason, my regrets have nothing to do with pussy. I don't know. I guess we're just different in that way. There's probably listeners out there that are like, geez, Beeve man, you probably
I
don't have
have,
any regrets about pussy because you always were able to obtain it. Is that what they're
yeah,
saying? Is that what they're thinking? Well, that's not the case. The case is I just don't give a shit. I'm all about the self-deprecation as opposed to the lack of the obtaining of said pussy.
when I was younger, I focused a lot more on having fun than trying to better myself. And that's the point that I'm making.
I think the point that the takeaway from all of this is that you like yourself a lot more than I ever liked myself. I think that's the takeaway. I think that's a fair assumption.
Yeah, it's not to say that I'm narcissistic or anything, but I think you need to love yourself a little more. That is for sure.
Well, there's definitely a lot of me to love, especially overlying my six pack that should be there that isn't. No, I totally applaud you for that. You have a confidence about you that I wish I had, that I do not have. No, I think that self deprecation has got me far in life, but how much farther it will take me, I do not know. Unless I decide that's going to be my thing. I think some people take it too far. I think that mine has just pushed me and pushed me and pushed me, but it no longer takes me where I need to go. The regret is there, but I think that it has not translated to my children. I think that's the important thing. So therefore, that is my success. That they do not have the same hangups that I have.
I think my kids aren't going to have as much fun as I did, but then again, maybe that's a good thing because I think in some circumstances I had a little too much fun.
But
And
then I think that there's probably country songs that say that that's not possible. You can't have too much fun.
yeah, well, that's only in the music.
Exactly. I also don't think that
Music and movies.
music and movies. That's right. A good comedy where you're having lots of fun does not directly translate so far as into life. I do not think. Although I wish it would, but it doesn't. Although I also do not know what it is like to have too much fun. Too much fun. It would be nice. A nice side effect of life that I have not
Well,
noticed.
ask yourself this, John. Have you ever been with two girls at the same time?
No.
Okay.
That was my
Would
question.
you
that
would you
was
say that
that
would
was the
be too
question.
much fun?
I think that
Would you
that
say
would.
that would be too much fun?
I would say that at my age, that's gross. That's what I would say.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Just the sheer magnitude of the implications of that particular situation is disgusting.
Okay.
Now if I could just imagine you in that situation, I'm imagining things like a ventilator, um, breathing treatments, diuretics, all the necessities of things that you would actually need in order for you to be able to do that without killing yourself.
and and
Some
none
sort
of
of a
those
penis
involved
pump,
are comatose.
some sort of a penis to pump. What else? What might you also need? IV fluids, definitely IV fluids.
Nah, just hydrate beforehand.
Complete darkness. That would be good. No, I would think that that's not a fun thing. No,
Hmm.
but
Well, I think you're missing out.
well, let me ask you something. Then, Smart Guy. And this should be one of the questions that I ask our guests, I guess. What is the difference? What is your definition of a good threesome? There's a good.
Well, everybody's going to answer different than that,
Well, yeah, there's a good
but
threesome and a bad threesome. So
yeah,
what's your
yeah.
definition of the good threesome?
Me and two girls.
Yes. Okay. So, and you're so clearly your definition of the bad threesome is
Any situation where someone might suggest that somebody is crossing swords.
right. Exactly. Okay. So, in that respect, are you not only even if are you not sharing that same sword with anybody who's ever been with the people that you're with? Are you not somehow sharing a little bit of sword action or sword play?
No,
No, you don't think so, eh?
not in the moment. No.
Like now, like maybe later on when I think about it, my sword sort of actually touched that sword, even though they might have been with that sword receptacle or sheath, if you will, yeah, a couple of years before.
Yeah, that never bothered me.
Never bothered you.
That part.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Have you ever used this particular insult? Let's see. You say to your significant other's ex-boyfriend, how's my dick taste? Have you ever done that?
No.
No, I've done that. Which is a great insult, by the way. It's one of my favorites. See, what other insults have I used? Oh, that's a pretty good one. Them's fighting words. But, hey. I think that's totally reasonable if you're going to be a dick. I actually pride myself on being a dick for several years. I don't really, I don't think I I don't think I'm like that anymore. Maybe I am.
If I wanted to be a dick to her, I'd probably break up with her by telling her that I thought her mom was hot or something like that. If I wanted to be a dick,
I meant what I would say to the guy. What I would say to the girl, I don't know what I would say. No, the
I
guy.
got
It's
nothing.
to the guy. That's what I would say to the guy.
I got nothing to say to the guy. I don't care.
Oh, see that?
He's irrelevant.
No, that's how you pick fights. You say stuff like that. How's my dick taste? Because that's your ex girlfriend that's with that guy now.
I have never actively picked a fight,
No? Oh, I've done that lots of times.
but I have given in and participated in more fights than I should have.
I have also done that. I have also participated in way more fights than I should have, but I have actively picked fights. Yes, of course. I think that was expected uh, in my younger years as an infantryman. It's kind of an expectation.
Well, there was. I take that back. I technically once I did pick a fight, and I wound up in the brig for it for a little while.
Now,
But
what was this young female's name that you picked a fight with?
uh, wasn't a female, and the dude had a solid probably 75, 80 pounds on me, and he was muscular.
Sounds hot. The guy had 70
Yeah,
pounds on you, huh?
so hot. He picked me up and threw me through a set of glass doors. I got up pissed. Of course, you know, he after after if somebody said the things about my mother that I did about his, I probably would have picked somebody up and threw him through some glass doors myself. But
Huh. Do you ever wonder why people get mad when you say things about your mom, when people say stuff about their moms?
I don't
Why
know.
is it so easy to get upset about somebody saying something about your mother when you know it's not true?
I've always said that if it's only an insult if it's not true. If you say something about somebody and it's true, it's not an insult, it's a fact.
Well, I mean, if they say something about your mother that it's not true, why is it an insult? Also, I mean, you're talking about your mother. I mean, why do we get so mad about
Yeah.
your mother? One of the funniest things anybody ever said to me about my mother was so I had these when I was a young man in my first duty station. I had pictures of my family up in my locker. So there's a picture of my mom and my little brother, and like my dad and my grandpa, and it was in our common area in our uh, kind of like our team's office, if you will. So we had lockers in there, we had a desk in there, some chairs in there, whatever. And there was a picture of my mom in my locker, and I opened my locker, and my team leader, he was an E6, and I was like an E2. He's like, "Who's that?" I'm like, "That's my mom." And he said, "Oh, I'd do her." And I almost freaking kicked his ass, which would have landed me in the stockade. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, okay, I just have to shrug that off, because he didn't say it spitefully, if you understand what I'm saying. He was
Right.
actually he was actually complimenting my mother, which
Right.
is being at my age, not understanding so much at that time what a sixth sense of humor is that we all have. It took me aback for a second, and I was really angry. But then over time, I'm like, oh, he's
I
not
would have given
insulting
him
my
the
mom.
opportunity to rephrase it in a more respectful manner.
Well, there wasn't anything I was going to do in the first place because he was my team leader and he was an E6 and I'm an E2. I wasn't going to do anything anyway, but I think he could tell that I was like pissed, but he wasn't meaning it in a disrespectful way per se.
Right. That's why I would have given him another chance, saying, uh, "Don't you just mean you think she's attractive?" Or I would have rephrased it for him, and if he agreed, I might have let it go. You know what I mean? Just to let him know, saying, "Hey, I'm not okay with that."
Right. Well, I had to let it go anyway. But I understood as time goes by. You understand that sixth sense of humor as time goes by.
Oh yeah.
But still, I'm like, dude, that's my mother. Seriously. I don't think about my mother that way. And I think that maybe I'm making this up in my head. I had said something like to him, like something kind of along the lines of like, yeah, well, she wouldn't think that you're hot or she wouldn't go for you. But then she's with my dad, so maybe she would have. Who knows?
Or you could have taken it a step further and say, I am not calling you dad. It'll never happen. So
Yeah.
give it up.
So give it up. You're not her type. She likes men with large penises. All right. Well, anyway, how to end, Doc? How to end? So it's late at night. I got to work in the morning. We sort of scratched the surface on some stuff.
Just some stuff.
But that's about it. Anything you want to say? Anything you got to lay out there? Anything coming up that you want to promote? No, you're on break. You don't really do anything, so.
I am hoping to do as little as possible over the summer.
That's good. You're gonna once again you'll be kicking children off your lawn.
Yep.
Oh, well, that's a good plan.
I'll be drinking iced tea on the back porch while keeping a close ear out for people on the front lawn. And get off my lawn.
Hooking up the bug zapper, toasting some really large ones. You're throwing some shrimp on the Barbie, wearing your wife beater. You wear a wife beater?
Yeah. I've got a couple.
Yeah, I assume so. You're kind of that guy. Not that you're a wife beater, but that you wear wife beaters. And if you take insults, if you're insulted by me calling it a wife beater, it is commonly called the wife beater. So it's not that we don't condone wife beating. It is the name of.
I got turned away from a strip club walking in with one of those.
I can imagine why. I can imagine why. Let's have some dignity, shall we? When we're going to a strip club, let's have some dignity.
It was a hot summer day. What do you expect? I mean, they're a cool and comfortable shirt.
Oh yes, I often go out in mine. No, I don't. I'm actually wearing one right now, but it's got a sweatshirt over the top of it because I do wear them under my, business attire. But I would not go out in one. No. Absolutely. All right. Well, I guess this is it then. This has been Beaveman in the Dock, and there's the goddamn grandfather clock popping off in the background of Doc's home there.
Every 15 minutes, man.
Yeah, that would drive me up a fucking wall.
After growing up with it, you don't even notice it.
Those things creep me the fuck out, especially the moon face on that thing. Creeps me the fuck out. I always hated that at my grandma's house.
Yeah, one of these days I'm going to take the time to synchronize those.
One of these days you should go fix my mom and dad's. It's the same goddamn grandfather clock. They have it in their house. It hasn't worked for the past 40 fucking years. I don't even know why they have it. Anyway.
Really? My dad built this one.
Yeah, they came as a kid.
1977.
Yeah, you have the same exact one my parents have.
That's kind of cool.
My grandfather built ours, or my great-grandfather built ours. It hasn't worked since I was I'm serious, 7. I don't even know why no one gets the damn thing fixed. I hate clocks. I told you that. If I remember correctly, didn't your mom have a shitload of clocks?
Yeah, she did. Yeah. Well, my dad got a clock as one of his retirement presents. Well, it wasn't a retirement present. It was one of those anniversary gifts that companies used to give out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, fucking clocks. Clocks. All right. So now we know that I hate fucking clocks. All right. So that's it. It's been Beaveman in the Dock. It's been good. Hopefully next time the Doc and I are actually face to face, and we can do the podcast that way.
Because everybody loves to see my face.
Yes, we do. We get to get the wide angle lens out and see Doc's face. All right. Adios, mooch fuckos.
Crickets, bitches.